Welcome into the Sources Say podcast, your go-to Kentucky basketball and recruiting podcast on the growing network, presented by Club Blue, is the partner of the University of Kentucky. Jack Pilgrim here, joined by special guest Zack Geoghegan. He's been on several times. You guys know him. You guys love him, as always. Zack, first and foremost, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing great, Jack. I just want to make sure that audio on my end going out, or Nate, does Jack sound fine to you?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind then. Sorry, Jack. That was my my AirPods screwing up. But yes, I'm doing great. We're glad to have the man I just mentioned there, Nate Sestina, join us. But we're going to talk about some Bison. We're going to talk about some TBT. We're going to have some fun in this episode. I'm ready for it.
Why do a preview show of Kentucky versus Bucknell without the guy who played for both of them? Both fan bases love him, absolutely adore him. We love and adore him. Nate Sestina, buddy.
Hey, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
So yeah, let's jump in. Just the excitement of this game. When you saw it on the schedule, what was your reaction? How do you navigate as an alum of one and a former player of the other? How does that work in your mind? And how are you a fan? Who are you rooting for on Saturday?
I mean, when I first saw it, I was like my words out loud. I was like, oh hell yeah, let's go, man. This is Bucknell is one of the most special places and one of the most special programs, and it's very near and dear to my heart. And it helped shape me into the player that I ended up becoming and being able to become when I came to Kentucky. And and it's weird that I got to try to choose a side. So maybe I have to split it, half by half, and go first half Bucknell, second half Kentucky, or vice versa. I'm not sure yet, but I'm really excited. This is an awesome opportunity for Coach Griffin to, play against a juggernaut that is, University of Kentucky. And it's also a good opportunity for Kentucky to play against another good mid-major school and a good mid-major program.
You're going to be like one of those moms at an NFL game where has two sons playing with a t-shirt, jersey cut down the middle. That's going to be you. How does a player at a Bucknell approach a game like this? What is the mindset, the excitement for the competitive level of saying do you go into a game like this saying we're going to go beat Kentucky?
I think when I was at Kentucky, or when I was at Bucknell and we played high major schools, part of it is you get to go play in a cool arena, and they have there's for us, you played North Carolina, they have all the Jordans on the wall when you go through the locker room and stuff. You soak in the experience, but you also you want to compete. These guys are in the high major, on these high major teams. It's as a mid-major guy, that's where you want to be. That's where you want to get to if, those are your goals. And for me, I always wanted to, whoever my matchup was, I wanted to go after him. I wanted to gun. I want to prove that, mid-major guys are just as good as high-major guys. It's just a matter of time. And I think the team that Coach Griffin has put together the last 2 years that he's been there, you're going to have a bunch of scrappy junkyard dogs that guys are diving on the floor, guys are taking charges, guys that are getting excited and cheering their teammates on, and, hitting shots. Everybody's clapping. Everybody's up off the bench. But as the approach for it is, you do want to enjoy it. This is a cool opportunity. You get to play against Kentucky. How cool is that? And then on the flip side of it, it's it is another game. So you have to approach it like these guys tie their shoes the same way. They just wear really nice Nike stuff compared to your mid-major Adidas stuff.
Do you remember how you did in that UNC game?
I think I had 7 points and 7 rebounds. They had a really good team. Marcus Page was there.
Yeah.
Luke May was there. Theo Pinson.
Oh, Luke
we
May
know that
is
name.
enemy number one here.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, I got to be careful with certain names because I'm really, really good friends with Nigel Hayes.
Ooh.
And
Okay.
everybody doesn't like Nigel.
You're 0 for 2 in the worst way.
Yeah, so I think Garrison Brooks was on that team as well. But we lost by 4. It was 84-80 or 86-82 or something along those lines. We gave them a run for their money.
Was that one of your tournament years?
That was that was the year that was my junior year. We went to the NCAA tournament. We played Michigan State in Detroit, which is pretty.
Oh, that'd be fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it was very green.
What is the talent jump? Like what is the difference, it being in both and experiencing both? Like what would you say the difference between both leagues are?
Size for sure. Like you got 7-footers that are 270 pounds at Kentucky, and you might catch a 7-footer in the Patriot League, but he's usually like kind of tall and gangly. And then like by his senior years when he puts on all the, like look at Bam Adebayo. You have a Bam Adebayo as a freshman, and then you might have a 25% of a Bam Adebayo. But you get very, very, very intelligent players. Like that's the thing that I think where size and speed and athleticism within the SEC, you're going to get, on the flip side, you're going to get super intelligent players, guys that make like incredibly smart plays. So I think it's going to be a very high intelligence game because Coach Pope obviously did a great job putting together this team. They high intelligence as well. So
with John Griffin taking over that program, he's now in year 2, but he was he came in at Bucknell when you started and left when you left. So I guess someone was the main part there. So I don't know who it was, but just tell us what do you know about John Griffin? You know, what do you think his coaching style will look like? What can fans or Kentucky fans expect to see out of a Bucknell led team by him?
I mean, when I was a freshman, I know like he was crazy. It was the first time I ever had coaches like really yell and like get on you about help side defense. And because in high school, I could be outside the paint and go up and block a shot, but it was like, you're going to get dunked on in college basketball. So Griff is a very, very intense coach. And it took me 2-3 years to realize it, but like he grew up in Philly, like Philly basketball, New York basketball, high intensity, like junkyard dog. Like Griff still wears baggy shorts. No, nothing above the knee for this guy. Probably high socks as well. But you're gonna get a team full of guys that are gonna compete for 40 minutes. Like whether they're up 40, whether they're down 40, it doesn't matter. Like everybody's gonna step on the floor, compete. They're gonna play for each other. They're gonna make the right plays. They're gonna make winning plays, and they're gonna play hard, man. Like knowing Griff and how he was as a player and how he was as a coach, like that's all he cares about is like. If you're winning, sweet. If you're losing, sweet. Like you have to play hard at all times, and that's something that I've taken with me through my time. But he is probably one of the most passionate people I know about the game of basketball. Like he truly loves it, and as he's kind of navigated his coaching career, he's got to coach with some good coaches as well, and like seeing like different ways to attack games. And I think he'll probably take stuff out of Coach Pope's, his book too. Like Coach Pope is an intelligent man. He's an intelligent coach. And Griff is going to be able to use that to his advantage as well.
Don't have to go totally into specifics, but just like what can Kentucky expect from a personnel perspective? Like, do you know anything about this group and what Kentucky will probably be facing on the other side?
I know Ed. I don't want to mess up anybody's name. He's their. I think he's a 5th-year point guard, or maybe a 4th-year point guard. But he's a veteran. Like you're gonna get guys that like don't bounce around. Like Bucknell is not typically a place where you go and then like you leave after a year. You go, you stay, you grind it out, and it's an opportunity that like you build a culture there when you get there. There is a culture that Griff has put together, but then like you go and you create your own. And I think you're gonna get a group of savvy veterans and like the juniors and seniors. I don't know them personally, but after watching them the last 2 years. You're going to get guys that know how to play and know, like, if the game gets, revved up and crazy and, Kentucky starts banging threes, because that's what they're like, it's a game of runs, like guys that can bring you back down. So I don't think you're going to see guys get like super frustrated and eyes wide. It's going to kind of, you're going to get a group of guys that can control it.
I think it's notable that, especially, in the new portal and NIL era, that especially Griffin, even in year 2, he's been able to bring guys back. You've got a lot of 4-year guys at Bucknell, like you said. Is that a testament to Griffin, or is that just kind of like a mid-major mindset? Is that a Bucknell thing? Like how does a program like that continue to bring all these guys back into the point where they just keep getting better and better and better without leaving or getting pawned off somewhere else?
Dude, it's a hell of a question, because I got to give a lot of credit to Griff, because that's the culture that he built, and that's the culture that he, like, when he came in when I was a freshman, that's like what you do. Like you come in as a group and you leave as a group. Like that's what, when he was at Bucknell, when he played there, that's the whole reason that like going there and playing there meant a lot to me, was like Griff's grade and my grade were very similar. Guys all came in together and you all leave together, but you win. And like you come in, you figure things out your freshman year, and then it's like, okay, we know what we're doing. And then your sophomore year, you're like a little bit better. And then junior year, this much better. And then your senior year, you're at the roof and you're like, all right, we're rolling. But it's, that NIL thing can be dangerous for mid-major teams, because you can get guys poached. And I think the team and the chemistry that Griff has built is a testament to how much his players truly appreciate him and love him.
You were part of the portal before the portal was cool, making your move. When that move happened, the first time your phone rang and it was John Calipari, what goes through your head? Like, is it like a, whoa, I'm about to go to Kentucky? Like, what was that realization for you that you're about to be a high major kid?
Dude, I just got goosebumps thinking about it, because I remember when Cal called me. I think it was more shock than anything. Like, I had put together a pretty solid senior year at Bucknell, and I didn't think that like it was going to turn into what it did. And it was a shock, but it was also like an appreciation for like the time and effort that I had 2 surgeries while I was at Bucknell, and I was like, man, this is crazy. Like, I got a new shoulder. I busted my kneecap. I got a new kneecap. Like, it was really, really a testament to hard work and perseverance. But like when Cal called, you're like, oh shit, it's real. Like, it popped up on my phone. Lexington, Kentucky, didn't register. He's like, hey, is this Nate? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, it's John Calipari. I'm like, oh shit, dude. Like, I screenshot it and I sent it to my brother. I was like, dude, I'm on the phone with John Calipari. Like, this is nuts.
This is a prank call.
Yeah, so I said, you think he was like messing with you?
Like a Make-A-Wish scholarship or something. I was like, is this real? But it was very real. And we got on the phone with my parents, and he was even like, hey, like, I want to bring your son here. Like, this could really be special for him, but also special for me as a coach. Like, a kid that grew up in a similar situation that I did in Pennsylvania. Like, it doesn't get any better than that.
Jack, if you're okay, I want to ask about TBT. I want to shift gears a little bit.
Yeah.
So obviously we had the whole Louisville situation. Just, do you still think about the moment that Onawaku spit on you? And is that a memory that you think about at all? And I guess we're 4 or 5 months now removed. Just what do you remember about TBT and how much fun it all was? But tell me at first about the spit, because we want to know more about it.
Dude, that way to ease into it, but
I'm jumping right in.
No, it's funny. It's like, that situation is weird, because it's there's 2 sides to every story, and he said that I was talking crazy to him the whole game. If anybody knows me, dude, I talk to myself during the game. Like, I pump myself up. That's how I am as a pro. I talk to myself like this. It started early in the game. He says something. He shoots underhand free throws. So I was just like, oh, we're not worried about your free throw. And he said something and like kind of like spit in my face a little bit in like the first quarter, because I got called for a foul or something on him early. And he said something, and I was just like, man, we're not worried about you at the free throw line. And like, dude, I'm a big, goofy, like, whatever. And I was like, all right, man, like, wipe my face off a little bit. And I think he missed one, or I was like, yeah, we're good. Like, don't worry about it. And then, like, it started getting a little hot going into the, in the second half. And I was like, all right, man, like, I'm feeling really good. But I'm talking to myself. I didn't say a word to anybody. I wasn't like, nobody can guard me, blah, 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 blah. Dude, I don't play one-on-one basketball. So if anything, I'm like, man, all I said when I was running down the court was like, this is what I do. And then John Fanta was on the sideline. And I was like, John Fanta, I was like, this is what I do. I was like, tell him to put a hand up. And that was we ran the play back-to-back. It was the second three that Eric threw back to me, and I banged it. And I looked at John Fanta, and I was like, this is what I do. This is what I do. And that's all I said. So then after the game, he was like, and then I did the L's down, which, dude, it's Kentucky, Louisville. Like, that's what you do. And he was like, man, he was like, don't do that in here anymore. And I was like, all right, whatever. And then he like said something else, and that's where I didn't remember, and I turned, and it was just like, and it like was like a delayed response. I'm like, no way. And I like went like this, And then Daniel Orton just like bulldozed through the whole thing. But like I was talking the whole game because I know Tyler Ewell stood up for me. Tyler's like, dude, if you know Nate, like he's not talking to anybody. If anything, I was talking to Russ Smith about his pump fake. And I told Peyton Siva, I was like, dude, I remember watching you when I was like a middle schooler, dude. Like you were like you put on for like undersized guards. Like, dude, Peyton Siva was like a superhero for undersized. Like, yeah. I was a point guard when I was a freshman in high school. I was like 6'3". And I'm like, dude, like I would love. Ended up growing whatever to 6'8". But I'm like, dude, I told Peyton, I was like, yo, I remember watching you when I was a kid. Like, this is a pretty cool moment for me to be on the court with you. I didn't say anything to anybody else. And Trez, I was like, dude, I remember watching you. Like, so I was like, whatever, man. If that's your version of it, cool. It is what it is. Like, but in the moment, I was shocked. I was like, what? Like, no way, this is real. And then all my teammates, like my teammates that I had just played with in Fenerbahce, were like, dude, what did you say to get like? I was like, I threw up L's down. I was like, it's Kentucky, Louisville. Like that's what. Yeah, I don't know, but the TBT, I had a blast. Like getting to play in rep again. I got to redeem myself for losing to freaking Tennessee on senior night. John Fulkerson killed us. He really did.
I hate that guy.
I mean, good for him. He had a great game. Can't complain. Like guys have their games, so that was good for him. But like, I don't know. The whole point of me playing was I wanted to get back to the community. I wanted to, and we were able to do that. Like doing the autograph signing stuff and having the charity game and the alumni game and getting to play the Kentucky team and they freaking beat us, dude. They shot the crap out of the ball. Like being able to be back in the community in Lexington, like I know me and Madison live there, but to do it with guys that I grew up watching, like that was a dream come true, really. Like, and I know it sounds corny, but like that's really what it was. And the whole experience was fantastic. So, I mean, nothing bad to say other than literally the last possible thing that happened was pretty negative.
It was incredible, except for the time it wasn't.
Yeah.
What goes through your mind when you just get nuclear to that level? Like, I mean, when you're just like lose consciousness in the heat of that moment with the crowd. Like the crowd was so sick, man. Like that night was just such a blast in general. But when you become this, what goes through your mind?
Well, on the clip that you just played, it was funny. The guy in the corner, it was his daughter had like a walking boot on. And the dad was talking, and he was drinking like a Miller Lite or something on the sideline. So I was naturally, I'm poking back and forth with him, kind of talking to him a little bit because he was during warm-ups. I was missing. He's like, Sestina, you stink, you suck. And I'm like, I was like, don't worry. I said, once that horn goes, I was like, I'm gonna get going. And I hit that little fadeaway, and the daughter, when I caught it, said something. So I just like turned and like kind of laughed. And then the next one I hit that three, like a real quick three. And the guy said something when I caught it. And I was like, this is your fault. And that's all I said to him. I was like, this is your fault. And then I got going in the second half. And I was talking to John Fanta, like I said. And I'm running down the court. And that guy stood up and said something. And I was like, man, you're drinking a Miller Lite courtside. Like, get a good beer. And he started laughing. So I was just like, but to get going, like the hoop just seems like it's freaking at the ocean. Like you can throw anything up and it's going to go in. Also a huge testament to the teammates. Like, dude, these guys, I got going and they kept getting it to me. And that's like, dude, for Eric Bledsoe to be like, hey, Nate, we're going to run a play for you. I'm like, what? You're Eric Bledsoe. What are you talking about? And the Harrison twins, like, and like, so I'm watching these clips. Like people think that I'm talking to them. I'm talking to John Hood on the sideline. And I'm talking like, I'm pumping myself up. That's just like, I don't know, dude. To get going like that is it happens every once in a while, and the confidence just keeps growing and growing and growing, and then all of a sudden it's like on both ends of the court, you're like, man, I'm locked in. I'm here. And like, I don't know, like watching these is just bringing back some cool memories. Like, dude, Memorial was packed.
Yeah.
Was it a Monday or a Tuesday or something?
Yeah.
I got called for a foul here, dude. I got called for a foul here. No way, that's a foul.
Have you all talked about running it back yet, or have those conversations started for next summer?
Dude, I'm getting married next summer, so I am not committing to anything that I cannot be there for every single game. I will let you guys know that
Bro.
now. I'm getting married July 25th. I'm
Hey,
sure that's during
congrats.
the TV. Thank you very much. I cannot
Reschedule
miss
the wedding.
that.
This is more important.
Yeah, I cannot. I definitely cannot miss that day. I have a fiance that might.
Will
I
not
think it
be
would be
your
awesome.
fiance anymore.
Yeah.
I think you come in with your tux before the game, right after you get married, right after you say I do, you come into rip off the tux, and you got your jersey on it, and you're just ready to come out, and you drop 30 or something like that on another Louisville team. That's the way it should plan out.
Now, see, Zach, this is like you're saying things that sound good to me, but you got to talk to the boss.
Fair enough.
Your
Fair
savings
enough.
that will get me divorced minutes after I get married.
Yeah, as soon as that ring goes on, it might come off quickly if I say, "Hey, I got a game tomorrow."
But there's Jack. I got one thing I want to ask about that team. Just Kanter kind of became like the guy for that team. Dog for that team. Great rebounder, finished around the rim with shooting threes. Just for him not being the UK guy, like he has the connection obviously with Enes, but what do you think he thought of all that? Like what was his kind of reaction to the Big Blue Nation and playing in front of those packed crowds and then beating Louisville and all that and the rivalry?
Dude, he embraced it like he was like he played at Kentucky, and I think that's what made it so special. Like obviously he understood the significance of coming to the University of Kentucky with his brother, but like basketball is everything in that state, and maybe not right now football, but also football. Like it's a sports filled state, and there's no professional team, so like college matters. And like his first game, I can't remember what his stats were, but he had like a crazy double and just embraced being like the garbage guy. I'm like, dude, you had like 20 and 15. And they're not like pretty buckets. They're not loud. They're just like layups around the basket. But I'm like, that's what gets you paid as a pro, dude. And he just signed in Russia. I think he's an Avtodor in Russia. But like a guy that came in knowing what it meant for us, like that played and everything for the university. He was like, hey, like whatever happens with my role. And then he came in and just dominated right away. We're like, oh, dude, he's going to be probably the focal point for us. And he ended up being like everything that we needed him to be. Like we got a center that's back to the basket, like he is. And then you got a center who's 7'1", putting his head in a square with Willie. Like I don't know, dude, Twani did such an amazing job of putting together this team. It was so dynamic and so unique. It was awesome. And Karam really embraced the whole time. Like the whole time we were in Lexington, like he was doing stuff with the fans. It was awesome.
Can you, if you're not going to play, I need you to put on your recruiting hat and get John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins to sign up. Because I think that's the one thing that was like missing from that whole, like everybody loved it. Marcus Teague, Deron Lamb, some of the guys that had to back out, like that, it sucked. But I think fans, their big picture dream is to have Big Cuz and John Wall team up as a part of this. So if we're losing you have to commit. You have to get them to commit in your spot.
Jack, just like I was telling you earlier, I might have to send you an invoice for that one if that's my agent fee.
That would be worth it. That would be really worth it.
If those two played in the TBT, I think the state of Kentucky would maybe combust. Like, I don't know what their situation is with getting back in the NBA. If they're trying to, or if they're moving on to the after of the NBA, whether they're still playing or not. Like there's basketball to be played around the world, and I know Boogie's bouncing around. He was in Taiwan, I believe, and he was like, dude, he's a monster. He's having 50 point and 20 rebound games. Like he still is DeMarcus Cousins. I don't care what anybody says. So if you can get him on the TBT, I think it's a guaranteed win. I'll see what I can. I don't know them personally. If I catch them sometime, I'll be like, hey, I know a couple guys that were heckling me about getting you guys on the TBT team.
Yes,
so,
I will take credit for it. But you have any more TBT stuff, Zach? Before we Talk.
No,
John's
I
back.
just, yeah, I wanted to relive the Louisville game just one more time. So that was great
It
that
was.
Nate took us
I
through it.
appreciate the little highlight clips too. Those were good little confidence
It
boosts.
was it was one of those nights where it was after, like, I'm sure you thought the same thing, Nate, but like me and Jack were just looking at each other like, did this really happen? Like this was the
It was a fever
craziest.
dream. Yeah.
It really was one of the crazy. Like we were on the court afterwards doing our little rapid reaction video. I remember Drew Franklin got punched in the chest by somebody
No,
or a
he
Louisville fan.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this was a whole. There was a point where I was on the floor. I was like, I need to look around and like make sure no one's gonna come up and like push us around or something. It was a lot of fun. It really was.
Yeah.
You talked a little bit about Mark Pope and just the changing of the guard in Lexington. What is your relationship with him? You got to meet the team and interact with them. We'll ask about what you thought of the team playing against them, but just your interaction with Pope and just what your relationship was with him now.
I mean, it's funny that you said that. I was on the phone with my agent probably about an hour ago, and Coach Pope was FaceTiming me, and I told my agent, hey, like, can I call you back? I was like, Coach Pope is FaceTiming me. And he was like, dude, yeah, pick that up. So I picked it up, and the first thing he asked me, he's like, who are you cheering for tomorrow? And I was like, it's a tough one. He's like, I know you're a Bucknell guy, but he's like, you're still a Kentucky Wildcat. I was like, I got to show a little love to Griff for, Griff changed my perspective and my trajectory as a young man at Bucknell. I said, so I got to cheer for Griff and cheer for the Bison. And I said, but it's a win-win for me, And then Coach Pope was just like, he like broke down this statistic of my social media following after my first game at Kentucky. He's like, it grew by 2,000%. I was like,
probably did.
He's like, man, if you were in this NIL stuff, he's like, you could just be. He's like, I'm trying to recruit you again. I was like, Coach, like if I had some eligibility, I'd be right back to you. So, but I told him, I said, hey, like when I'm done playing, if you ever need an assistant coach, like please let me know. Like that's something that I've thought about. What I want to do when I retire. I want to take a little bit of time and spend some time with my family and make up for the things like I haven't been able to do, like going hunting and fishing with my dad and stuff. But I was like, when I'm ready to go, I was like, if you have a spot as an assistant coach, let me know. And every time I talk to him, that's what, we bring it up a little bit. And I'm like, man, I hope that it comes to fruition. I obviously have no idea what the future looks like. But just the time that I got to spend with him in the summer, his energy is infectious, man. And he is just one of the, he's a people's person. Like how he communicates to grandmas and grandpas is how he communicates to the referees and how he communicates to little kids and how he communicates to his players. Like, you got this, like there's levels to, there's a hierarchy and, whatever you want to say, but everybody to him is on the same level. And I think that's what makes him so special. Like he'll talk to his daughters the same way he'll talk to maybe he'll talk to his daughters a little bit less than he'll talk to his players, but like, it's just amazing to see it and like the quick turnaround and the unknown of the new coach and everything when he became the coach and everybody was like, Cal left behind, I think, and I'm a John Calipari fan. I don't care what anybody says. Like that truly changed my life as a player. You can have your own opinions and everything, but like Cal left behind a dynasty, man. Like this is a powerhouse. This is still Kentucky basketball, and I think Coach Pope playing and winning at Kentucky and coming in as a coach, that is the difference maker for whoever was going to come in. And like, this is what makes Kentucky special, and a guy that embraces it, and he's alumni relations and getting guys to come to games. And like, I'm sure Rupp Arena will be sold out tomorrow, and it's Saturday at 4 p.m. or no?
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
What are we like, dude? And the Rupp Arena will be sold out. Like, I hope it is. I want Bucknell to see that. I think that's going to be a cool opportunity. But like, man, it's just Coach Pope's ability to be a coach, but also to be an amazing human is what I think is going to make this team special, because he's a team full of guys like that. Sorry that was so long-winded. It's just the truth.
It's what we brought you on here to do. So my understanding of the head-to-head scrimmage practice, however they wanted to officially call the runs that you guys had, they got really weird about like the verbiage.
The verbiage,
to make it a legal practice thing. But whatever we want to call it, my understanding was night one went to La Familia pretty handily. Night two went unbelievably handily in Kentucky's favor. What was your recollection of those two nights, and just your thoughts on the team?
Definitely the first day, I was like, okay, you can see that it's a group of guys that are young in terms of just not playing together. Like, they're older guys, but they've never played together. But they played college basketball, so they have a good feel for the game. It's just having a feel for each other. And they shoot the crap out of the ball, dude. Oh my God. Like, working out with them, they don't miss. And everything's game speed. There is no like light set shot. Like, everything is what you're going to get in a game. So when we played them the first time, it's like, okay, you have a bunch of guys that have never played together for both teams, but it's different when you're a pro, because it's like you can pick up and just go. Like, Aaron Harrison and Andrew Harrison can be them. They can be themselves. They can be the Harrison twins. And it doesn't matter. Like, they're going to fit that mold. Eric Bledsoe can go be Eric Bledsoe, versus like Jackson Robinson has to kind of fit Jackson Robinson within Kentucky's offense. But when he like broke it off in that, like, I was like, it was like just two possessions, because I think he was coming off of something, or so I don't know what it was. He, like, you could see, you're like, oh, this guy's a monster. And who was Kerr, dude? Kerr. I love, and he's European too, so I love like his feel for the game. He's like a savvy vet that just understands basketball I think at a higher level than most college kids. So it's like he understands it, and he knows what it is, and it was fun to play against them. And then when we played at Rupp, it was like those game lights turned on, and those guys turned into monsters. And Kobe Barea actually said something to me on the sideline one time. I said I like caught one on like a switch, and I tried to post up, and the ball got like smacked out of bounds, and he said, man, something about like get that weak stuff out of here or something. And I looked at him, I was like, brother, I was like, I don't know if you know me. I was like, but there's one thing, I was like, that I'm not weak. And he said something kind of funny, and then I said the same thing to him. I banged a three right in front of the bench, and I turned, and I was like, this is your fault. And then I hit like 4 in a row, just boom, 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 in transition. And Coach Pope like looked down and was like, who said something? Like, what are we doing? And after the game, I was talking to Coach, and I was just like, he's like, man, you can really turn it on. I was like, no. I said, so Mr. Barea turned it on, and he started laughing. He's like, I'll be sure to tell him not to say anything. But those guys, it's a fun group too. Like, you can see that they really enjoy being Kentucky basketball players.
Yeah, we've seen them shoot. They shoot the lights out. That's what we've seen through the first two exhibitions and the first regular season game. So that translated pretty well for them.
And we've seen contenders at Kentucky. You played on one. You can dig in on that if you want.
Pour one out.
Absolutely heartbreaking. But playing on a contender that was clearly trending in the right direction, one that could have made a run. Did you get the same vibe with this group? Like, do you think that this group has the pieces? And you can give a however truthful answer you want, but do you think that this could be a contender for Kentucky this year?
I do. I think offensively they are dynamic, like very very dynamic. Like, you have almost everybody on the team can shoot threes, except for maybe 1 or 2 guys.
Yeah.
So like, and then the other 2 guys, it's not like they're not good basketball players. They're monsters. What's
Mari Williams and Brandon Garrison is probably who you're thinking of.
Yes, monsters. Like guys that like a typical Kentucky big that is just going to be big and strong and athletic and do everything else you need them to do. Now for me, I think their defensive identity is what I'm going to be interested to watch, because obviously like, they were figuring things out. Like, you're fine-tuning stuff in the summer. You're putting stuff together. You're putting concepts together. Are you going to switch everything? Do you run zone? Do you run whatever? So like, when I didn't get to see them the first game either, but like the defensive identity piece is something that I'm really interested to see through like all the analytics that I know Coach Pope is really big on. Just seeing what they do. Because like, if you switch 1 through 5, dude, that's hard to play against. And if you don't have a team offensively that knows what to do against switching all the time, like, that could really stir up some teams. So that is the thing that I'm excited to watch. Offensively, I think they're fine. They're going to get so many offensive rebounds if they're not making shots. If they're going to get so many offensive rebounds and layups, and then making free throws is going to be huge. which I'm sure, dude, they're putting up unbelievable numbers on that Noah shooting. That thing is that's probably the best thing that's happened to that freaking gym in a long time. So other than Kenny Payne running on the treadmill, that was probably the best thing as well. But yeah, I'm excited. I think they have a really, really good chance. I'm excited to watch them play against, obviously play against Bucknell, but I'm excited to watch them play against like some of the big dogs in the preseason as well.
Yeah, got Duke coming up on Tuesday. That's kind of the. I asked Pope that yesterday. How do you not look ahead? Like, how do you not look past Bucknell to get to Duke? And like, he just gave this profound, insightful, like, we're not even worried about Duke or Bucknell right now because we have to perfect practice today. We have to be a day by day team. Can't look ahead, can't look behind. We have to live in the moment. It was just like, he went back. The first thing he said at UK Media Day was he said that he went to church on Sunday and they talked about a Japanese proverb about being still and why being still and staying within the moment is so important. And it was just like, where the hell did this stuff come from? Like, how did we even get to this point? So his approach has been just mind-blowing for us. Cal has his Calisms and his own humor and kind of things that he sticks to, but it's just not necessarily better or worse, but just different than what we've been very much used to the last several years.
Oh, for sure. And I think the profoundness is like Coach Pope like genuinely believes in that too. Like, they're gonna have a perfect practice, whatever that looks like today, and then they're gonna have a perfect shoot around, and then a perfect like whatever. And that was something that I got to talk and really see from him is like that stuff matters, like the actual day-to-day stuff. And like you can't overlook this, like a game like this. If you look like as a high major, if you look at us in Evansville, I don't even want to bring that game. That's one of the darkest games I've ever been a part of. And you have a sort of like, we can figure it out. We're Kentucky. And it's like, dude, these teams will come in and smack you. Like, they'll come in and smack you in the mouth. And I think his approach to and his philosophy is what's going to make this team really, really special. Because the guys also want to buy into it.
Zach, you got anything you want to throw around?
Well, yeah, just I guess kind of to wind down here with you, Nate, just what are you up to? I know you're overseas right now. Take us through your professional situation right now and where things at with you and your current season.
I'm over here in Valencia, Spain, one of the most beautiful cities. Dude, it's amazing. The weather has been fantastic. The last week or 2 weeks ago, there was unfortunately, it was a really, really bad flood. So it really like wrecked part of the city. And fortunate for our entire program, nobody was involved in that. But a lot of people are displaced. So that's the main priority for our team right now, is to make sure that basketball matters, but like making sure people are taken care of. And we put together an awesome care package and donations and stuff from guys on the team, and hopefully that can put a smile on some people's faces. But we're 6-0 right now in Euro Cup, which is, winning is awesome. We're 5-1 or 6-1 in the ACB. We're in second place in the ACB, which is big time. And personally, like I said, I was telling you guys earlier, I'm struggling right now to find a groove, but winning cures it. Like, if we were losing games and I wasn't playing well, I'd be like, man, but we're winning games. I'm still doing other things on the court that I think when I was younger, I didn't take full advantage of, appreciating, okay, if you're not having a good night scoring, getting rebounds, getting tips and deflections and stops and being a good teammate. And so I know that, speaking of Coach Pope's, Japanese proverb, water always finds its level. So it's a matter of time before that thing gets, evened out, and I'll be playing and shooting the way that I'd like to. But other than that, I have no complaints, man. Winning basketball games, getting to travel around Europe again, visiting new countries, and getting paid to play basketball. It's crazy to even say out loud, but it's a lot of fun. And I know my family's going to come over throughout the year and watch some games. My parents will get to watch me play as a pro for the first time ever in person. So that's something I'm really, really looking forward to.
I feel like we just need to have Onuaku or Kobe Brea call you to get you.
I would prefer Kobe Brea. I don't know. I mean, I hope Mr. Onwaku's having a good season wherever he's playing. But I would prefer a call from Kobe before the latter.
Fair enough.
I've always like, if there's a dream scenario, it's to be in like your shoes, just the overseas professional where you just like, hey, I'm going to pick the most beautiful city that I can find. Like, yeah, competitive basketball is good. Somewhere I'm getting paid, compensated fairly, but just like go see the most beautiful places in the world. Like, how much does that impact your decision whenever it comes time for you to be a free agent and you get to pick wherever you want next, just the location and weather and all that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, dude, I got to play in Israel right after the G League, like an amazing city that I lived in Rishon, which is right below Tel Aviv. Like, got there in March and it was 85 degrees like every day, sunny, never rained, like just beautiful. And then I went to Denizli, Turkey, which I had no idea about the climate or the weather or anything. Pretty mild. It snowed one time, pretty bad in the winter, but other than that, it wasn't bad. And then I was in Ankara in Turkey, and like going to these places, like this contract when I was becoming a free agent. So I had a +1 contract with Fenerbahce. So it was like, okay, I could stay or I could leave. And the opportunity to play like the Spanish ACB, like the domestic league, is like probably the best domestic league in Europe. So to like get your foot in the door here is big time. And like if you can play in Spain and you can stay in Spain, it's like high level basketball from top to bottom. So like in most of the cities are pretty good cities. And when my agent was like, hey, Valencia offered you, I was like, the first thing that popped in my head, I was like, okay, the weather there is insane. Like it's like San Diego. Like, dude, the other day was not a cloud in the sky and 72 degrees, like slight breeze. And I'm like, this is not bad. This is not, like I'm still able to golf on off days and stuff like that. So it's like a little bit chilly now. It's like 65, 62, something like that. Like I keep my window, this little right here, this little window, I keep that open and just like let fresh air all day long. And it's not bad like ever. But the opportunities to like, I don't know, like you want to live in the coastal city in Spain, or do you want to go live in like Sweden or Iceland or like Poland? Like, and I'm not crapping on these countries. There's beautiful cities everywhere you go, but like from October through April is going to be dark and cold. And like here is like, you wake up, it's gorgeous. And, you get to play against Barcelona, you get to play against Madrid, you get to go to the Canary Islands 2 times and play against Tenerife and Gran Canaria. Like, within Spain is just amazing. And it really, and in Madison too, like when Madison ends up coming over here, like that matters for her too. Like I don't want her to be in a situation where she's like, man, this place sucks, Like when I told her like, hey, Valencia offered us a 2-year contract, she was like, she was like, where do I sign? And I was like, whoa. So she understands it. She knows, because she also played professionally, and she was in Germany her first year, and it was like dark and gloomy. And like Germany is a really like very similar to Pennsylvania in terms of weather and stuff. But like then she was in the south of France the next year, which is gorgeous. So she understood a lot of the geography and the reasons why coming here was so great.
Madison update. How are things going with the future misses?
They're great. She is. They have a game today. They got Texas A&M. Texas lost in SEC volleyball, so it's good for Kentucky because they got to keep winning games and hopefully get another SEC championship. And hopefully Craig Skinner gets a freaking statue put inside of Memorial College. This guy's a monster,
dude. One of one.
He probably deserves it.
Yeah.
We've won a title, so.
And they're doing all the renovations anyway. I mean, I feel like now is the appropriate time to build one.
Just slap one in there. Hopefully it doesn't look like Dwayne Wade's statue, but
yeah. Statue will look like Jack Pilgrim out there.
Yeah.
Whoa. It'll be a handsome
Wasn't a shot.
It's a pretty handsome statue, but Jack, that's a stray I don't think you needed.
Yeah, yeah, I get it. Let's start wrapping up. Just what Kentucky means to you. Just like what did the summer kind of getting that new energy back with BBN, kind of getting to reconnect with them a little bit, but just, now that you're in your stage of your career and your life, when we get to reminisce about your days at Kentucky and just what it all meant, and Coach Cal, and just the whole experience, just what can you say about all of it?
It's a one of one place. Like you don't get the mixture of fans and facilities and resources and basketball and the level of everything that you do anywhere else. Like Kentucky is an amazing place, and it's the state as a whole is fantastic. When we do those satellite camps, like you're out in Eastern Kentucky, some small little high school, and there might be 500 people in the town, and all 500 are at that school. Like it's a testament to the people, to the fans, but also like to the impact that 18, 19, 20-year-old kids have on an entire state, entire country, really. Like everywhere you go, there's Kentucky fans. I'm playing in Turkey, and there's a guy wearing a UK sweatshirt. I took a picture with his son after one of the games. He was like, dude, I was like, what are you doing here? And it's just like, everywhere you go, and people, that's like every new team that I've been on, that's the first question. What was it like to play at Kentucky? I'm like, dude, you guys played at like Notre Dame, Syracuse, Wisconsin, and it was like, what's it like to play for Cal? And I'm like, he's crazy, but he's the best. And like, that's something that I can take with me, and I can like hang my hat on that. Like I am a Kentucky Wildcat, and it's still crazy to say. And I'm in my 5th year as a pro. Like you will forever have that. And I'm indebted to the university and to Coach Cal and KP and everybody that was a part of that staff for bringing me in.
Zach, you got anything before we let Nate go?
I think I'm all good. Yeah.
All right. Before you go, game prediction for tomorrow. You got to pick a side, and you got to name a score. Sorry.
It doesn't hurt me, but it hurts me. I think Kentucky's going to get them. A score, I don't know. I don't know, because if Kentucky's hitting threes, it can get – I don't know what Bucknell's three-point shooting is like. I know that they're solid and they run great plays. I don't know what the three-point – I know Coach Pope is fast-paced, lots of threes. Play the law of averages. I'm going to say – go maybe like a 15-point win. Man, I'm going to go 88-73.
All right.
Sounds like you hate Bucknell. That's what you're saying.
Oh man, I was just gonna say, if I'm right, when I come back to Lexington, you got to take me to Tony's. But I don't even know. I'm catching strays on this podcast, man. I don't.
Hey, you left me on red last time.
I did. I really
did. That's on you. We thought we were cool, and you made your bet.
It was literally capital letters, what and why, and I was.
You were just heartbroken that you were ruining our chances of a TBT championship. That's all. But no big deal. That's all good.
I know, dude. Thanks for opening up that wound. I thought I had it sealed shut, and now I don't.
That's what we're here for, Nate. This was a blast, man. We're excited. There was nobody better to preview Bucknell than none other than Nate Sestina. So we appreciate you coming on.
Thank you guys for having me on. I apologize for all the long-winded answers, but this is two places I'm passionate about.
No, we appreciate we appreciate it. We'll catch you soon.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you guys.
Thanks, Nate.
Peace.
Yep, we'll see you. How about that, Zach? That was good time.
Yeah, I love the memory lane stuff. That was awesome. So, but he gave us some good info on John Griffin. I think he's the third, their head coach there at Bucknell, John Griffin the third. So, gave us some good info on what he's going to be like, bringing his team to Kentucky tomorrow. Do we want to do a little?
Yeah, let's
talk about him.
5-10 minutes of it. So this is obviously a unique situation because of Nate Sestina and the connection with Bucknell and all that, but traditionally we're going to try to fit this show in between the post game that we do after the normal Tuesday night games and then the Saturday night game on the Sunday breakdown or whatever. So we're going to have one to kind of get us between the two. So we're going to do this, and they're usually going to stick to the 30, 35, 40-minute range to talk about what Coach Pope said the day before, usually in his press conference, what we know about the next opponent, things like that. So usually we will not be 50 minutes into the show when we start this conversation, but today is just kind of a unique experience because Nate's our guy, and we had to get him on.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I know Bucknell is now 2-0. They won their game last night against Southern Indiana. They beat a pretty decent St. Joseph team in the preseason. Who'd they play in their first game? I already forget.
Delaware, and that was a big one too.
Delaware.
That was a really
Andrew
really
Carr's
big one.
former team.
Yeah.
So there's connections everywhere here, but yeah. So really, do you want to talk about Pope's press conference first, and then kind of touch on Bucknell? Because
all of it.
Because Pope was scouting the hell out of this team, honestly, the whole time.
And that was a part of this. And I brought it up a little bit with Nate, but I had this moment talking to Pope yesterday. And I had dinner with my mom last night, and my stepdad's a diehard UK fan. I was kind of telling him about this, telling Katie about it as well. It's like I had a moment listening to Pope talk where you just kind of know when a guy has that it factor. Mm-hmm. It just, for whatever reason, I've heard him talk 100 times. He's been on this show. We've had one-on-one conversations. We've seen him coach. Like, for whatever reason, that moment, as he's scouting Bucknell, and then maybe it's because of some of the scouting things we've heard about the last staff and just different things, it just different things leading up to it. But I had that moment where I was like, man, this dude's special. Like, Pope genuinely just has that it factor where he's breaking down Bucknell in a way where it's like, you just insightful and deep and knowledgeable. And, the X's and O's about like what the offenses and the actions they're running, the personnel, the veteran-led stuff, and you can read the full quote, or if not, I'll pull it up. But it was just listening to him talk, and like I told Nate on the show, as he's talking about like, how they don't overlook anybody, not even Bucknell for Duke, or Duke for Bucknell. You just kind of had that it factor moment with him where it's just like, man, this dude, I just think he's going to make it, and I think he's going to make it really, really big. Like, we're listening to Dan Hurley in the making, the next superstar coach. For whatever reason, it just hit me in this press conference more than ever that dude's got that it factor.
I just like the fact that he knew what was going on with the other team. And, he gave us a pretty thorough breakdown of what was going on, not really condescending about anything. Well, it wasn't at all, honestly. He gave us a breakdown of what he's seen. He talked about how they're going to be a fast-paced team. They're built with veterans. They do a lot of actions. They go deep into their actions. That was his big thing. They do 3-4 actions in quick succession, too. Like, they're not going to try and burn much clock. They're going to get up and down the floor. A little bit similar to what we'll see from Kentucky, but kind of on your wider note there with Pope. I mean, I feel like I've gotten that vibe since the press conference, if we're being perfectly honest, back in April. Like, he was just a guy that is just a little bit different, and you got to be wired just a little bit differently to play this or to coach this team. And he absolutely is. And every time we do these press conferences, it just kind of reconfirms that a little bit more that, yes, this guy is. And I also go back and forth with, like, do you think that Pope knows about how Cal kind of went about his press conferences? Is he purposely going out of his way maybe to even, talk or talk too much and almost filibuster about things like offensive rebounding percentage numbers, or like, when he was talking about being, I forget who asked the question. I think it might have been Ben Roberts yesterday, talking about in the recruiting world, like how you look for a selfless player.
Yeah.
He talked for 4 minutes about just that whole concept and like kind of branched off in little different areas, but always came back and sometimes it's different from Cal and like when you're actually listening to the quotes, because sometimes you don't really follow what he's saying, but not because the sentences are all jumbled up, just because the words that he's using are like, it's like, I think you're clearly smarter than me, and it's making me feel dumb trying to understand what you're talking about sometimes. And it's like, I get that same feeling sometimes when I'm listening to like Brandon Ramsey break down film and stuff like that. But like, that's how you know that guys are they're smart and they know what they're doing. So back to Bucknell. if you want, if I can go there.
Well, let me read the quote. I got that pulled out that Pope said
Go
about
for it.
them. Good team, veteran team, 3 seniors, 2 juniors. Again, this is all off the dome, just off the top of his head. More importantly, guys that have been together for a long time, as Nate talked about. You look at their roster, 4-year guy, 4-year guy, 4-year guy at Bucknell, which is super cool. It's a real credit to the program and to the staff and to the players. So we have a veteran group that has played together for a long time that understands what they're trying to do. They get pretty deep into their actions and have a good sense of what they're doing. I think it's creative stuff. They have some explosive scorers, really capable backcourt. A big Williamson, we'll talk about him in just a second. Who holds down the middle really, really well, can shoot it. They shoot it from all 5 positions, so it's a good team, and it'll be another good challenge for us. And when I say that, I love John Calipari. I've said it on this show. I've said it in, privately, publicly. I've said it to Cal. I've said it to friends of Cal. I've said it to enemies of Cal. I love John Calipari. I will always love him for what he did to this university and the impact. We will always look at the before and after and the differences between the two. So when we, poke fun at that minute-long video of the Calisms that came out, it's not that we're going, oh, wow, look at this idiot. It's just like, we've been in that press conference before listening to this, and we hung on to every single word at the time because that's what the fan base liked and needed at the time before. I mean, there was a time a decade ago that the fan base loved every second of that. It kind of got tight, and there's going to be a day where Pope and, him filibustering and doing his thing, that's going to get old too. And, it's life. It's sometimes it's just time for a fresh start. But the difference between the two, and hearing and I've been on the show, I've talked about, I think there are people around Cal right now that are failing him and hurting his legacy right now. And we're not on the staff that Nate Sestina was on, that I love that staff. And this one that he has right now, I think is bringing him down, unfortunately. And I think that's probably going to be the reason why they have a pretty capped ceiling as a program with that staff. But just listening to Pope dissect it all from top to bottom, it really was just very refreshing. And I think what the fan base needs right now.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is. I mean, it's refreshing for us as well because we can actually write about the opponent, and actually have stuff to talk about and prepare ourselves a little bit better. We'll watch film and do stuff like that, but it's a little bit different when you hear the head coach say it himself, when he's like, "This is what they do," and not. You might have been reading off my article there, Jack.
Yep.
But in there, a part I didn't include was where Pope went in and literally like broke down the whole play that they run, but like. It was like he kept talking about peels and back screens and stuff like that, and like into like Reddick handoffs, and I was like, he already has one of their plays like mapped out, like he knows what they're gonna do essentially. And that's just, it's refreshing to listen to. So, but with Bucknell, they've got one guy really that Kentucky's going to worry about, and you mentioned him earlier. It's Noah Williamson. This kid's really, really good. He's 7 feet tall. He was, I think, he's a preseason first All Horizon League guy, or no, Patriot League. Patriot League, yeah, not Horizon League. Patriot League guy. He was a third teamer last year. He had 32 points last night. Like the guy gets to the free throw line. I got a number down here: 28 free throws through 2 games. Like he's just living at the line. I think he's made 20 of them, so he's a pretty reliable free throw shooter. But you want Amari Williams and Brandon Garrison to get a real test, like you're gonna get one tomorrow. So Noah Williamson is definitely number 1 and number 2 on that scouting report. And it'll just be it'll be very interesting to see how Kentucky actually defends a guy like that, because he won't be the only 7-foot, kind of stretch forward guy that Kentucky sees this year.
Yeah. He is averaging 25.5 points and 10.5 rebounds a game. I mean,
good stuff.
Pretty good for a 7-foot, 250-pound freak. I mean, dude's good. Dude is really, really good. That's as you said, they're talented, they're experienced. As Nate said, they're calculated and just have the veteran savviness that you see with teams of they're returning 71.4% of last year's scoring and 78% of its rebounding. Really good, experienced group. They're talented. They're not going to make dumb mistakes. They're not going to play out of their element. They're not going to, play immature basketball and try to, play to Kentucky's strengths. They're going to kind of keep them. So it's going to be all of that stuff. Doesn't account for the talent necessarily, good but not great talent. But Noah Williamson is a great talent. Like, that's going to be the guy that Mark Pope definitely has on circled, underlined, exclamation marked. That's the guy we got to worry about, and everything else is going to be more of a team oriented scout, if you will.
Yeah, and I think the other thing to note about this Bucknell team is they've kind of had two different games so far. Like, in the first game, they shot really well from three. Last night, they just didn't. Like, they had one, like, I forget his, let me get his name right now. Josh Basco went 4 for 4 from three in the first game. He was 0 for 6 last night. As a whole, I think they went, here, I got the numbers right here. I'll just read it off. They were 52.6% from three, 10 for 19 in the first game. In the second game, they went 4 for 17. So which team are you going to, like, I almost prefer, I want this team to come in and hit 10, 12, 13 threes, because I want to, and I want Noah Williamson to play well, because I want Kentucky to get the full experience. Like, Wright State, that game could have been a lot closer if they just hit some of their open threes that they just, I mean, if we're being honest, they just clanked a bunch of open threes. They could have easily had another 4 or 5 made shots from deep that really makes the game maybe look a little bit closer. Kentucky probably still ends up winning by 30 or whatever, but it maybe makes it closer a little bit more in the first half or the second half. So that's what I'm interested to see is, are we going to, because I feel confident this Williamson kid is going to come out and probably he's going to play well. Like, Amari Williams is going to get the better of him. This kid will probably get the better of Amari a couple of times, or Brandon Garrison, whoever they decide to, kind of swap back and forth there. But what kind of 3-point shooting team are we going to see? Are we going to see the team from the first game or the team from the second game? And that's really going to kind of dictate exactly how this game goes, because I think, I don't feel like Kentucky's really going to ever have like Bucknell went 4 for 17. I will be hard pressed to believe that UK has a 4 for 17 3-point shooting game this year. Just with how many shooters they have, like, it's just going to be hard for everyone to have a cold night and then not to shoot enough threes to like make more than 6 or 7 a game. So those are just some of the things I'll be monitoring as well. And John Griffin, like Nate said, he knows what he's doing. He's able to build continuity and bring all these guys back. That means all these players respect him. They want to play for him. I think that stuff means something as well. So it should be a fun game.
I just clicked on Drew Franklin's Get to Know the Bison of Bucknell University.
Ooh, yeah, we got any fun stats?
Do we want to go through?
Yeah, give me some fun Drew Franklin facts.
We're going to learn some of this stuff on the fly together, just because
Let's do it.
Just got posted. Bucknell is located in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania, about 60 miles north of Harrisburg, the state capital. Did you know that?
No.
Founded in 1846 as the University at Lewisburg, it was renamed in 1886 to recognize William Bucknell, whose $50,000 donation saved the college from closing its doors.
$50,000 is a year of tuition now for most schools, but
probably at Bucknell. Talk about full circle. Famous Bucknell alums, other than none other than
Nate Sestina.
Nate Sestina.
Not that any of them matter, but go ahead, name them.
The GOAT. Former Villanova head coach Jay Wright.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Rutgers head coach Greg Schiano.
Sure.
Actors Ralph Waite, who played John Walton on The Waltons. You may have heard of The Waltons.
I've never seen The Waltons, but I've heard about that show probably more often than I ever thought I would in my whole life for calendar reasons.
And a name that I can't pronounce, but the guy who played Chris on The Wire, the show The Wire, also Bucknell alum. Bucky the Bison is the official mascot of the Bucknell Bison.
Bucky, sure.
Makes a lot of sense.
On brand.
You can book Bucky for corporate events, birthday parties, and bachelor parties. We should have had him come on the show.
Party.
I wonder what that entails.
A bachelor party with Bucky? Does he?
I mean, does he?
Is he Is he not covered in bison fur? What's it look? I don't really want to know. I don't think.
Just the head for
the head. Ooh,
for a bachelorette party, it's just.
Yeah. I guess it'd have to be a bachelorette party unless there's. Yeah. I won't say anything else.
We'll just.
Before I get myself in trouble.
Lots about Noah Williamson, obviously. Bucknell's All-Patriot League selection. Who is Latvian? Did you know that?
I did, actually, yes. I did, because when Mark Pope was talking about their team yesterday, I was doing some research. I learned that he is from Latvia, yes.
He was named third team All-Patriot League as a sophomore. one of 5 all Patriot League selections following a breakout sophomore season in which he averaged 12.3 points, 6.4 rebounds, and 0.9 blocks. So very good. 6 20-point games and 19 double-figure scoring games as a member of Bucknell. So lots of good stuff there. Picked 4th in the Patriot League. So a very good Patriot League team, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think I don't think they were a great team last year in John Griffin's first year. I think they did well in the Patriot League, but their overall record, I think they had a losing record. So yeah, to be 4th in a Patriot League that I think has a couple of decent, like really decent teams there at the top is no small thing. I know they also lost. I don't know if he was the Player of the Year, but they had a first team All Horizon. Why do I keep saying Horizon? All Patriot League guy that graduated and he left, and he was like the only guy that they lost essentially. So they should have pretty much, like you said, 71% of the scoring, 70 whatever percent of rebounding. It's pretty much the same team. Besides, losing one of your best players is obviously not great, but Noah Williamson seems to have filled that role almost perfectly. And they've got the other guy I mentioned, Josh Basco is another guy to watch out for, and they've got a pretty decent point guard there as well. And I think Mata is his last name or something like that. So.
Well, this has been
interesting facts from Drew Franklin.
Yeah, this has been a lot of fun previewing Bucknell. As extensive a preview as you will possibly find. Find me another show that's going to talk an hour and a half, an hour and 5-6 minutes about the Bucknell Bison. But hey, that's what we're here for. That's why Sources Say is built different, if you will.
Yeah, shout out to Nate Sestina for getting us through all that. So, but he really is a lot of fun to talk to. He is.
And I like how he was like, "Sorry, I was so long-winded." It's like you're on a
it's
podcast.
Like that's what we want. Yeah, it's like if you came on here and gave us 20-second answers, we'd be pissed, to be honest. So yeah, he gave us.
How was that La Familia TBT game? It was a good time. Tough opponents. Excited for getting back next year. It's like, that this is a talking platform. You're supposed to talk, right? So no.
Tell us. That's why I was like, tell us about the spit. Give me the spit take.
First question out of the gates. We need to know about the spit.
Give me the Hawk Tua. Was that around back then? No, that's more recent.
Definitely more recent.
Yeah, definitely more recent. I don't know. The internet memes, they don't really have timelines. They just spawn.
It feels weird talking about this in a segment, a transition, because it has been just so happy and, fun the whole show. Some around the SEC news today that was not so great. Florida's Todd Golden is in some hot water, bud. It's not looking good for him. Seen as one of the rising stars of the SEC, a guy that, known as like the analytical guru, the, one of the future up and coming guys, dealing with some off-court stuff that, if found guilty of a lot of this stuff, is not going to turn out great. So I'll just read some of the accusations and details of this. According to Title IX documents obtained by the Independent Florida Alligator, which is a student newspaper.
Shout out to the student newspaper. Yeah,
that's
big time.
Really big time. Golden received a formal complaint on September 27th alleging behavior that includes sexual exploitation, unwanted sexual advances on social media, requesting sexual favors, and sending photos and videos of his genitalia and stalking. These accusations come from University of Florida students dating back over a year. Zach.
Yeah, I think even just off those allegations alone, you're probably going to hear something very quick from Florida in terms of, whatever weird word you want to say, but I'm sure he'll be away from the team while they figure this out. And
I mean, they play Monday.
I remember,
they play Monday, so and they play.
Something's going to happen.
So
something's going to happen. If even half of this stuff turns out to be true, he's probably done. And he was like a guy that I remember over the summer being like, you don't want to, or not even the summer, back in the spring, it's like, you probably don't want Todd Golden to be on Kentucky's radar now, but, give him another 5 years and you could see maybe he'd be on the radar. But that's not even going to be on the table anymore with that. So
I know you like being in our work group message and like follow us being friends and talking, talked about it on KS board extensively during the coaching search and all that stuff. His name came up in the Coach Cal to Mark Pope transition, like as a guy like, hey, Todd Golden's doing some good work down at Florida. Why don't we consider him? And for the reason that you talked about, just as a coach, like, hey, he's young, just came from San Francisco, probably needs a little bit more time before we're trusting. But it was really, really weird. And I brought this up on KS Board as it was happening and now as all of this is unfolding. But I got a bunch of random messages back in the spring, like early spring, maybe like late winter, from people that know Todd Golden close personally, friends with him, friends of friends, things like that, about how this dude was just hell-bent on being the next head coach at Kentucky. Just wanted to be at Kentucky. Like, relayed that message back to me of like, hey, if you know a guy that, if things go south with Coach Cal, make sure that my guy's name is floated at the top. He's really, really interested. And I was like, this is a really weird thing to, in the middle of conference play, to have this just thrown out there willy-nilly in the middle of conference play. It was just really, really weird timing. And I know of a couple other media members that kind of heard similar things, and out of the blue, it was just like, is somebody close to Todd Golden reaching out to you to express interest in the Kentucky job? And was like, yeah, why? This is really weird. And then obviously when the Oakland loss happened, first thing that happens is the same people kind of coming back out of the woodwork. Hey, told you, hey, my guy wants a Kentucky job. Make sure you float his name out. I just remember it being really off-putting and weird. And some of my other very close friends in the business, unfortunately, kind of caught wind of like, hey, there's some weird off-court stuff. So make sure if you're throwing these potential candidates out there, don't throw Todd Golden out there, because there are some skeletons in his closet that are probably going to be uncovered, and you don't want that to be associated with your program. So every time his name came up, I was like, yeah, I don't think that's going to be one that we're going to have to worry about. And nothing ever came of it. So I was just like, maybe it was just, it is what it is. Just maybe it just was false or whatever. And then now we get this to come out, and it was like, okay, clearly trying to get out in front of things and kind of distance himself from that campus, especially because clearly it's the students on campus. So it really weird, really gross. Again, innocent until proven guilty. I'm not going to be saying he's guilty of any of this until he's actually charged with any of it, or, whatever the investigation finds with Florida. So just all in all, really, really tough look for this guy, knowing that there were some weird whispers back at the time as it was unfolding, kind of just putting two and two together here. Tough look, not something that you necessarily want to see from your league, although, he's Florida's a very, very good team, seen as, a potential contender in the conference. So I wonder what that's going to do to the Gators. Obviously it's too early to know specifics, but something to at least address and put on our radar for sure, Zach.
I think they're a preseason top 25, if I'm not mistaken. Walter Clayton's an All-American candidate. They've got the 7'8" kid, or however tall he is now. He might be 8 feet.
Ryu?
Yeah, he might be 8 feet tall at this point. I remember when Kentucky kind of kicked the brakes on him for like a day, a year or two ago.
Watched
that was
one game of his, and it became like he's now a Kentucky target. And it was like, I think the coaches were just like more like fascinated, and we're like, all right,
damn, he's really that tall.
I gotta see, is he really 7'8"? I think
he is really 7'8", which is crazy. So, and they come to Rupp this year, so that'll be interesting. But yeah, I don't really want to talk about the Golden stuff anymore, just because you feel for the people that are having to bring this stuff up, and if like I said, if even half of it's true, it's not good. And if half of it's true, he will probably not be coaching college basketball, at least in the immediate future. So we'll see how it all plays out. But yeah, not good at all for everyone involved.
Well, let's get back on track and get out of here. What are you expecting tomorrow? What are your let's I put Nate on the spot with a pick. Let's give your pick as well. What are you expecting to see at Rupp Arena tomorrow when Bucknell comes to town?
Sorry, but my cats are over here fighting. Like, they're staring at each other, and it's like a stare-off contest right now. So I'm just making sure that nothing bad happens. But
I'm kind of rooting for it from, not being right next to you. I'm kind of rooting for chaos.
Do you want to see?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you can see that the big fat one is my girlfriend's. The other one is mine, and the orange one is the bully. So we'll get back on track here. I'm going to say Kentucky wins this game. We still don't have a spread yet. oddly enough. The game is 24 hours away. I still don't believe we have a spread yet for it. I think Kentucky wins this game pretty handily. We've talked up Bucknell and everything, but like I said, I still am not, we're really not sure which team is going to show up. If Bucknell comes out and hits 10 threes, I could see this being a semi-close game down the stretch. But if this is a situation where they, shoot under 30% and are only hitting 5 or 6 threes in the game, I think Kentucky wins in a rout by 30 points. So I'll meet myself somewhere in the middle, and I'll say Kentucky wins this one. What did Nate say? He said 88-73, I think is what he said.
Yes.
He went for a 15 points. So I'll go Kentucky 93, Bucknell 70.
Ooh, I like that. I'm going to go Kentucky wins 91-69. I like that.
All right. So we're in the similar wavelength then. I like it.
Yeah. I like that. I like that a lot. We need to wrap up. I know, but
we have been talking for a while. Wow.
We got to talk Pat Kelsey walking around.
Sure.
And
yeah.
Do you love it? Do you hate it? Is it cringy? Is it like what was the Zack Geoghegan take of watching Pat Kelsey beg, like be on his hands and knees begging students to attend a top 15 matchup at their home venue?
I think it says more about Louisville than it does Pat Kelsey, because I'm all for Pat Kelsey doing this. Like, well, I think the weird thing is the student section was packed in their first game, and he was going around campus begging students to come to their games. It's like, it sounds like the students are already back in. You need to be going down, Bardstown or whatever big road. I'm not familiar with Louisville, whatever's up there. Nulu, go to the Nulu. I know that's a big thing now, or at least Billy R Sports. I hear him in my ear every morning talking about Nulu. Yeah, I thought it was. I'm all for Pat Kelsey doing it. Go around, it's not even just like a hey, come to our game. It's more of a hey, I'm Pat Kelsey and I'm walking around and I'm hanging. I want to meet all the students. I want to meet all the fans. Like, I'm here. Let's get some community going back in. So I was fine with it. I mean, it's dorky. He's a dork, but Mark Pope's a dork. Like, and I mean both of those things in like the nicest way possible. Like, Pat Kelsey is just a smaller, more loudly energetic than Mark Pope, or version of Mark Pope, more or less. Like, in terms of their personality, like
a little brother, if you will, of Mark Pope.
Yeah, some might say. In terms of basketball systems and how they run, like I'm not going to sit there and compare them in that way, because I don't really know what Pat Kelsey's going to bring to the table whenever that game comes. But if Pat Kelsey wants to go out and do stuff like this and get his name out there, I'm fine with it. He seems like a fun guy to be around, and he's got a lot of energy, and that program just doesn't have a lot of that right now. So if he's got to go out and do stuff like this, yes, it's a little bit cringy, but cringy means you care, I think, in most cases. So I was all for it.
Yeah, and that's the last thing I'll say before we officially get out of here. I know we've been yapping for way too long, but I remember going down to Auburn this past year, down to the jungle, and the fans down there talking to the fans about Bruce Pearl. And they said, I'll be totally honest, we didn't give a rat's ass about basketball before Bruce Pearl showed up. Didn't. I mean, Tony Barbie was one of the most recent coaches there. Like,
forgot about that.
Like, it was a way to pass the time into spring football for Auburn fans before Bruce Pearl showed up. And it became a thing because of his energy, because of his passion, and him ripping his shirt off and being stupid and, doing all that. Like, you got to make people care if they don't care. When you deal with lethargic, doesn't even know that he's coaching a game sitting on the bench in Kenny Payne, like, as the head coach there, you gotta, when the fan base is so apathetic after that. I mean, you look at the ticket sales numbers under Kenny Payne, and it's like an average of 6,000 fans attended the 22,000 person venue. Like,
well, did you see what Steven just sent us in our group chat there? Because it's relevant.
The Planet Fitness
thing, yeah. I mean, that's this year's team, but I just thought that was kind of funny.
Well, but that goes into it when you have an apathetic fan base where it became like, yes, they hated it and they were angry and frustrated and said it's time for Kenny Payne to go. This is not our standard. Blah 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 blah. That's fine, and there was anger, but it also created a sense of apathy where it was like, I didn't even know Louisville was playing tonight. Like, fans, living in Louisville, I have a lot of close Louisville basketball fans, and they were like, I had no idea that we were playing a game tonight in the ACC. Like that isn't how it's always been for Louisville. So when you're in Pat Kelsey's shoes and you take on a challenge of this magnitude, you got to do what you got to do. Like it is your job to make fans care again. That's your job. Yeah. And him going out and being a door-to-door salesman of his program is badass. It is. I think it's a really, really cool thing. It's embarrassing for the fan base that they're haven't been sold out since the minute this game was announced. It's a top 15 matchup. It's a whiteout. It's cool. It's a cool ass game at the Yum Center. The coach shouldn't have to go door to door to sell this game to the fans, but he's gonna, if it means that selling it, and if they have to, Planet Fitness has to give away free tickets to put butts in seats for that game. If you build it, they will come. That is the mindset of Pat Kelsey, even if it means he has to be goofy and embarrass himself by going, you going to the game? You going to the game? Are you going to the game? To 400 kids on campus. Like, yes, is that weird? Is it dorky? Is it cringy? Yes, but he has to do it if he wants the program to be what he wants it to be. And if that's what it takes, that's what it takes, man. So I respect it. I'll never knock a dude for grinding and hustling and doing what it takes to build the program. That's an awesome. I'd rather have that than a dude that didn't care, than a dude that was lazy. Exactly. And so I think it's a really cool thing. The rivalry has stunk as of late. I haven't been able to make fun of Louisville for anything as of late because they've been so absolutely terrible. So if this is what it takes to kind of reignite the fan base and have those kind of the sparks fly a little bit and kind of get the flames going a little bit again, let's do it. Or let's have Onuaku spit on Nate Sestina again and keep this thing going. So that's my spiel, and that's probably where we need to wrap up because it's been quite the heck of a show. Hey, we have a new ad that I'm very excited. A new sponsor.
Tell me about it.
I'm sure been waiting very, very impatiently for me to stop yapping and actually sell their products. So here you go, Wonder Fan. I appreciate your all's partnership. We are excited to announce our new sponsoring partner, Wonder Fan. Wonder Fan is a first of its kind basketball arena rewards app where fans definitely aren't going to learn that use that at the Yum Center, but absolutely at Rupp Arena, where fans can earn real rewards simply by cheering for their favorite team. All you need to do is head to the App Store to download the app, check in once you're at the game, and let the earnings grow organically by themselves. It's that easy. During each game that you attend, you'll earn in the background once you press start. Once you have enough earnings, you can redeem for gift cards to your favorite brands like Fanatics, Dick's, Lululemon, StubHub, Home Depot, and many more. There's even ticket giveaways and fun contests that you can use your points to enter. New rewards are added weekly. Right now, users will get 50 free Wonder just for signing up. That'll score you a $10 off Fanatics code and a chance to win tickets to the national championship. Hopefully Kentucky is a participant there. Plus, we have a special deal for listeners on this show. After signing up, head to your profile page and redeem code KSR for an additional 40 free Wonder. Again, that's code KSR. So head to the App Store and search Wonder. That is WUNDER fan, and start being paid for your fan loyalty. Wonder Fan, it pays to be a fan. Zack Geoghegan, appreciate you coming on with me, buddy. This is a blast. Appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me. KentuckySportsRadio.com. You can find me on Twitter or X or whatever at ZGeoghegan KSR. Geoghegan is GeoGheGan. It's right down there, triple G. And I'm just everywhere on KSR. Well, actually, if I can plug myself, we just dropped episode 2 of Zoom Action
on this channel.
On this exact channel. If you click the KSR button down there, it will probably be the second thing that pops up there. Brandon Ramsey and I dove back into the film room with Steven. We actually broke down a Zoom Action play as well. So it was a lot of fun. Pope's often the film room is a lot different right now than it is what we were doing last year. And that's for the better so far. Once we run into some losses and stuff like that, we'll be able to pick things apart a little bit more when they play some good teams. But we're having a lot of fun with it right now, and Brandon teaches myself a lot. And hopefully the goal is to try and teach everyone else a little bit more about Mark Pope's system and his offense and how he runs things and how everything is kind of baked into his offense. So it was a lot of fun. We had a good time with it yesterday, but it just went up on the KSR YouTube earlier today. So go check that out.
I will watch it as soon as we are done with this right this very second. Find me on Twitter at Jack Pilgrim KSR. Go subscribe to KS Board. We've been dropping Scoop and Scuttlebutt and all the fun things on there. Make sure you are a premium subscriber there. Every time we have interviews, every time we do things with like Q&As and things like that, that's where you ask the questions that get answered on this show. So make sure you go subscribe there, get all your intel, and Scoop over there. This has been a blast. We will see you Sunday after hopefully a big win for the Kentucky Wildcats over the Bucknell Bison. We'll see you then.